Hello and welcome to the High School Huddle. Along with Ronnie Phillips, Phil Nichols, Chris Evans with you. We count down the days to the kickoff of the 2023 high school football season. Today, we talk about the Piedmont Wildcats in Class 5A. Before we do, let's hear from one of our great sponsors. The High School Huddle is presented by Generations Church. Love God, love people, serve both well. Contact Generations Church by calling 405-282-6848 or visit them online at generationsguthrie.com.
Do it.
The Piedmont Wildcats with a huge playoff victory last year against Midwest City after finishing fourth in District 5A2, 7-5 a year ago for Coach Jeff Hall and that flexbone offense. Once again, they will be the largest class in 5A this year. This more than likely will be their final year in Class 5A football as they get bumped up to 6A2. And they got a very interesting schedule. Remember, Guyman went independent, and so they picked up Blanchard. We'll take a look at those season schedule here in just a few moments, along with our predictions. New offensive coordinator at Piedmont. Reportedly, they will still run the same flexbone offense. Maybe there's a trick. Maybe they come out spread offense in week 3, 4, or week 0. Who knows? It could be very well the flexbone offense, but
hope so. We'll
see how that plays out. And Piedmont 7-5 a year ago. Of course, their big season in 2019, 10-3 that year. Now, there's been some 500-ish records in around that 10-3 season, or excuse me, that 10-3 season. But again, largest class, and McGinnis is down a little bit. Carl Albert's good. Guthrie's good. It should be another fun 5A2 district as it is every single year.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Piedmont, that's a weird one, right? I mean, they've got the district's growing so fast, probably will be 6A2 after this year. Had that great year in 2019. That year they knocked off Carl Albert.
Yeah.
I mean, did a lot of.
No one saw that one coming.
No one saw that coming. Did a lot of great things. But, you look at the 2 years after 2019, 5-4, 5-6. Last year, still 7-5. Had a couple good wins last year, but we're 7-5. 2 years previous to 10-3, they were 5-6, 3-7. You go a couple years deeper, 6-5, 3-7. So they haven't been able to put it together consistently in Piedmont, but they also play in District 5A2, and that's going to add up to some losses. I mean, when you've got, the lineup, top 4 teams in District 5A2 are just strong, just always good football teams, including Piedmont. So you can, those records are a little misleading, I think, when you consider the district they play in. Now that offense, listen, that if you have a disciplined defense and tough kids, you're going to do well against that offense. You just are in 5A football, So it'll be interesting for the new offensive coordinator if they don't have some wrinkles this year. If they do, that could definitely make a difference because they have athletes in Piedmont. They definitely have athletes in Piedmont.
Yeah, and the thing about Piedmont the Optimistic this year is that they have a heavy senior class this year.
So, a lot of experience.
It was as sophomore, 6 losses last year, 5 losses. Is it 4 losses? Is it 3 losses? Is it 2 losses this year in a tough district? Cannon Wood, Joshua Mars are leading that senior class. And so let's go ahead and take a look at the season schedule for the Piedmont Wildcats. It all begins with Noble, of course, in the non-district. It's highlighted with Blanchard in the 3rd game of the season. So Noble, El Reno, Blanchard, Duncan. Remember, Piedmont won that game against Blanchard a year ago. So it looks like it could get a good start to the season. Could start off 5-0. You can argue that. And then you have the big showdown with Guthrie, and then you end it with McGinnis and Carl Albert. So if Piedmont, with the new coordinator, can get things going early in the season, it could benefit them toward the end of the season.
Yeah, most definitely. I think this is one of those teams. Yeah, I could see them going 6-4. I could see them going 8-2. I mean, there's just a lot going back and forth here. It just depends. And I do think a big part of this, obviously, I always talk about injuries. That's true for everybody. But this new offensive coordinator, how much freedom is Coach Hall going to give this new offensive coordinator to create some different schemes for the offense? If that's allowed, because I'm personally, we've talked about this a lot, I think that's held them back, over the last few years in 5A football, their offense.
Yeah.
I mean, again, if you have a disciplined, tough defense, you got tough kids that play disciplined, play their assignment football, they have a lot of success against that offense.
It's only going to get harder as they move up to 6A2 football. We've seen UConn try to do it a little bit, couldn't do it there. Last time we've really seen it effective was Altus, and they won a state championship years ago. Now those wins and losses have been tougher for Altus since then. So we'll see. Coach Reed's back in Altus, but we'll talk about them a little bit later on. So it is time to take a look at the picks this year. And I really think Piedmont starts off the season with a 5-0 record, go into Guthrie. Piedmont's had a hard time against Guthrie throughout the years. And I think Coach Kelly Beebe and his defense, that's what Guthrie puts pride on, is their defense. And so I think that's the first bump in the schedule there. So I have the 5-1, then 7-1, and then McGinnis. That's a big game because I think right now, early on, that could decide that maybe the third or fourth spot. Of course, Piedmont's taking 2 spot, but then you got Carl Albert to finish it up there. I think Piedmont does get McGinnis this year. I think Piedmont does finish third in the district this year behind Carl Albert and McGinnis. By the way, for Piedmont, at Guthrie, at Carl Albert. So for the Piedmont Wildcats, it's kind of out a little bit from what their records have been. Nothing backs this up with the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wins. But this year, I do have Piedmont going 8-2 with losses to Carl Albert and Guthrie, albeit Blanchard will be tough.
Yeah, I've got it a little different. I think Piedmont will be in the playoffs again this year, but I think they're going to have 4 losses. I've got them going 6-4. I think Blanchard, I think they're favored to win their district over Tuttle down there this year. Played a tough game last year. They're 3 overall in 4A. Piedmont beat them last year by, I believe, a couple touchdowns. So we'll see. But I think Blanchard gets them. I think that Guthrie beats them as well. Guthrie just seems to have currently, and historically, they have Piedmont's number. And again, that very disciplined defense, Kelly Beebe-led defense, that matches up well with that offense. Again, they throw some wrinkles, who knows? But I've got Guthrie winning that game as well. Then I have McGinnis. McGinnis, to me, they lost a ton of kids. They had, River Warren transfer out, went to Del City. Their family moved to Del City area. So I have McGinnis beating them as well. I think that by that time of the year, they're going to have some things figured out that McGinnis is going to take some bumps and take some losses throughout the year. But I really think when it comes that second to last game of the year, the quarterback position will be more solidified. You'll have that experience, that game experience under your belt for that young man. And listen, it's McGinnis. They're going to find a way. They're going to play disciplined football, which, again, I think bodes well against that offense. And then Carl Albert, what can we say? I think Carl Albert's, we've said it enough. I'll be shocked if they don't beat everybody in 5A by at least 3 touchdowns a game. So, they're just loaded. So I've got them going 6-4.
All right, Ronnie?
Well, let's see that schedule. If you look at it, I think you guys are exactly right, and it's going to come down to the new offensive coordinator and what they plan to do. Because we saw them several times last year play. It's 3rd down and 15 and 3rd down and 20, and they're running the football. Okay, yeah. You cannot do that. You have to find ways to be creative to not run the football on 3rd and long. You have to, because if you get behind the sticks early by a penalty or a loss or something like that, you have got to pass the ball, and that's something that the new offensive coordinator is going to have to incorporate in this new offense. And I think they do. I think with the seniors that they got coming back, they can kind of figure it out with the wrinkles there. I think they'll finish season 8-2 as well.
Piedmont Wildcats, there you see in a very tough district, 5A2, always fun to watch there. And there's the arguments, Guthrie, Piedmont, McGinnis, 2, 3, 4 discussion. Yep. Seems like every single year.
Every year. Yep.
McGinnis has kind of had the number 2 spot over the last
really, we
years.
were talking about 3 and 4.
3 and 4 came down to Guthrie, Piedmont. A little bit more open this year. With McGinnis coming down just a little bit with quarterback leaving as all the things that Phil mentioned there. So it will be fun to watch how it plays out. Remember, 5A2 was 4-0 against 5A1 last year in the first round of the playoffs. Be sure to follow the High School Huddle all season long. I know you will. On YouTube, be sure to search Second Banana Media. We're also High School Huddle also on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. And to make it real simple, go to secondbananamedia.com. You find the High School Huddle podcast, and you can watch everything, including previews like this. And our weekly show that begins August 16th, we'll have that each and every Wednesday night throughout the season, begin at 6 o'clock. Glad to take your questions and comments as we take a look at the top 5 in each class and also the top 10 games every single week. It will be a fun season. Best of luck to the Piedmont Wildcats. Best of luck to your team. Thanks.